Dorsch added punting duties to his workload for 2000, and what would become a month-long special teams nightmare for the Boilermakers began in September at Notre Dame.
They broke through, and I was maybe a little slow on my steps, and we get the ball blocked.
For a touchdown, Travis Dorsch. Oh, blocked!
And it really just set the tone, sort of in a negative light for that game. We'd installed a fake punt that week in practice, and Vinny had a go route, but unfortunately we weren't on the same page.
Oh no, fake! He scored the ball! Purdue had no idea what was going on. Sutherland was not even looking.
No one in the entire kicking team knew the fake was on. So that is still one of the real mysteries in Purdue football.
The special teams errors, a Drew Brees pick six, and a Notre Dame field goal as time expired handed Purdue its first loss of the season, 23-21.
They got beat by a 6'7" sophomore ex-tight end quarterback who's making his first start of his career, Gary Gotze. That was an embarrassment.
After more special teams miscues in a win over Minnesota, the 3-1 Boilermakers traveled to Penn State, a team Purdue had never beaten since the Nittany Lions joined the conference.
That's the only time we're going to hear that today.
Wasn't a great Penn State team, but that was a week after the Adam Teleferro injury at Ohio State. The entire stadium was chanting his name, and when they came out of the locker room, I'm not sure any of their feet touched the ground.
Here comes the pressure. He won't get rid of it. And Penn State's got him trapped.
It's something I, to that point, had never really seen. I'd never seen sort of a sack, on a punter.
Snap. They got to him again. Same guy.
When there's a mistake made in the kicking game, it's not only the fact that it's a mistake, but where on the field is the mistake made. Both of those were made in the shadow of our own goalpost.
Penn State cashed in both miscues for touchdowns, and the Boilermakers fell to 3-2, losing by the exact same 2-point margin they had at Notre Dame. A season bursting with hope and promise was suddenly in danger.
After dropping the game to Penn State, there's no way we should have lost to that team on that day. We were written off.
I can remember walking into the locker room saying to our athletic director, Morgan Burke, after we lost that game, I said, Morgan, I don't know if we're ever going to be good enough to win this thing.
After that Penn State game, Drew Brees called out the special teams. He was quoted as saying, hey, this has got to get cleaned up or this season is going to go south.
To start off 3-2, obviously not what you want. And you've got one of two directions you can go. Either you allow that to really have a bad effect on the rest of the season, or you say, if we take it one game at a time, all our hopes and dreams lay right there within our grasp and within our control.
At 3-2, the 2000 Purdue Boilermakers were staring at a gauntlet of an October, 31 days that would define their season. 4 conference games, 3 nationally ranked opponents, beginning with the number 6 Michigan Wolverines.
We can stop the bleeding now, or we can just lay down and die. And Michigan's coming in here. It's either them or me, and it ain't going to be me.
Now, that game was unique. I can remember Brock saying, Jim, you're going to score a lot because we can't slow them down.
Probably the first 2 or 3 plays they threw at me, and I was like, oh, goodness, it's going to be a long game.
Michigan scored a touchdown on each of its 4 offensive possessions in the first half, building a 28-10 lead and sending Purdue to the locker room in desperate need of a season-saving turnaround.
We're going to end up in El Paso instead of Pasadena, and I think that's what the fan base felt at halftime.
I told the team, we know you guys are going to stop this football team. We're going to shut them out in the second half, and we got them right where we want them. I'm not sure I believe that, but it sounded good.
Drew Brees got up. I think Matt Light got up and talked about how it's a whole second half. If they scored that many points the first half, why can't we score that many points the second half? Defense has got to step up and get some stops.
It's all about heart. It was all about discipline. This game is about us and what we wanted to prove to ourselves and to our fans in that stadium.
And all of a sudden, the defense gives up 79 yards in the second half, and the offense starts moving the ball up and down the field.
I knew that at 28-10, if things continued on that pace, we had no chance of coming back. But I also knew that it was only a matter of time before our offense, just the lid kind of came off.
And Lowe back on the field, slips through. Touchdown, Purdue!
We essentially came out in that third quarter and just started to play our game. We started to throw the ball a little bit more.
Breeze gave me a nice pass, and I think Marlon Jackson was on me and kind of slung him off a little bit.
Over the middle has the freshman touchdown.
Trailing 31-29 with just over 2 minutes remaining, kicker Travis Dorsch, who had already been replaced as punter, had an opportunity to give Purdue the lead from 32 yards out.
There was a little wind moving from right to left. I knew that I struck it well. Unfortunately, it missed.
For the lead.
Well, you know, when he missed, I had to stay away from it, because that may have been the closest I've ever come to assaulting a player in public.
We're sitting on the bench, and he comes back to me, and he's looking at me, and he's like, what did I do? Like, what have I done? And I said, Travis, we're all right. We got time on the clock, and any time that we have that clock is ticking, we have a chance.